Hello, welcome to a new video. This one is a tutorial for this door because someone in the comments asked for it. Yeah, it is 0.6 second 2x2 hipster. Yeah, watch the showcase video, I guess, if you want to know whatever I said in that. Yeah, it is 504 blocks, which is the smallest, and yeah, I'm going to try and do an explanation video, even though I built this too long ago and I forgot how it works. This is the layout. I'll slow it down and then you can see how it works. It's not the most complicated thing ever. Yeah. These pistons are not needed, but I use them in the wiring because I join these inputs together. Yeah, maybe let's use orange to keep in with the theme. Right, so this is, you need this size of hole, so that is 9 by 8 by 6 plus the floor layer. You need to use these two blocks are needed because they're powered. Yeah. And then these are all the items. These are the redstone bits. Yeah, these are the blocks. Need a glass there. I don't know why it needs to be transparent block. It can probably be a slab, but I use glass for some reason. And the string is just to silent this note block. You could take it off, and then you just hear a note block noise. Not everybody at once. These go in the hoppers and dropper. So some items there, some items there, an item there. Yeah, I think that's it. So I think we should start with the input lines because there are, well, I guess this is an important part of the layout because it is how we power these. We power the targets to power those pistons. Yeah, do that with this dust line, which gets used a decent amount. Yeah, do this. Right, next inputs is to power the floor. Here we use these observers and retract them at 3 game ticks, so these do 0 tick. And then we've got this input like that. Nope, I messed it up already. This rail gets powered as these, and then we have these which power those pistons and makes it easy to retract them at 3 game ticks with some bed. And then the rest, then there's one, and we've got these two dust like that, and then these two like that, which handle those, and also retract these to stop these extending when they shouldn't. And then we've got an input line which goes across here somehow and does some pulses up here. Yeah, so yeah, this input line is, it's got 2 slabs here. I'm just going to build it and then sort of staircase thing up. that, and then over here goes sort of like that, and then that, I think. Yeah. The hopper goes there. So, yeah, this has the bottom piston and that one as well, I think. And then it also powers these target blocks, which I think have note blocks. This one doesn't have a note block underneath. This one does, which is a bit annoying, but oh. So that's that input line, and then yeah, so those are like the inputs. I'm pretty sure. Oh wait, this is wrong. Yeah. Okay, so that's a good start. This doesn't feel like a very good explanation, because I can't really remember the door. Oh well, let's start with the input then. The input goes there, and basically we power that, which will do the extension. There isn't no block there. Okay, I'm gonna say because that make it locational. So that will do the extension as well as powering these pistons, because if we power this, you'll notice these retract at the same time. Yeah. So the way we do that is, I'm pretty sure it's just like that, basically. Yeah. Except they're orange for some reason. And then, yeah, so that does the closing and the start of the opening. So, yeah. Then the next thing to do is this line, which needs to switch on instantly and switch off after about 8 game ticks. I think it's 8 game ticks. No, it's not 8 game ticks, it's like 6. So the way we do that is we've got this. So this turns off, that's just connected straight to the input and then spits back out to cut it again. I got that idea from someone who made a similar door. Yeah, so this just goes up like that, and then we have 2 observers going into it. Trap chest. Here it's not a trap chest, but I'm going to do a trap chest for now. So that means we get this sort of thing. And this spits back before that switches off, I think. So it gets rid of input bug. That just gives us a pulse there. And then we can put glass pane there, glass pane there. And then do that. And then these observers power doing those pistons. So that's good. And then we have to spit these out at 3 game ticks to make these do a 0 tick at 3, to retract storage at 3. So we do that over here with a log and a leaf, like that, and this gets updated by 2 rails. So now you can see we've got a 0 tick like that, because leaves have 1 game tick and then 2 game ticks, and that's 3. And on this side we bring the input line across like that, and this has similar thing like that. Oh wait, no, it's over here. So that will... I'm going to get some barrier blocks so we can see it a bit better. Also, my barrier texture looks like that and I don't know why. So if anyone knows, I'd be grateful to also know. So these observers update that, which is why these are a bit out of sync on the clothes, but the head gets updated by this block, so that's why it retracts instantly. Then we get both 0 ticks, and then it retracts, and then we add this to retract these at 9, I think. Yeah. That's just going to be timed well. And then I will leave the storage for later. So, yeah. Okay, next thing will be the whole, like, it's not an ABBA, but it's similar circuit over here. So, what we have is, over here, we have a 0 tick repeater. I think it's there. Yeah. So this is connected up like that. So that gives us 0 tick to start the double extension. And then we have to 0 tick these in 2 bed later, I think. So the way we do it over here is by having this. This is where I've forgotten the materials list, because you actually need a boat and a minecart for the sand, and then you're going to need a pot to set it up and some rails. So I'm going to place these 2 0 tick repeaters here, and these get powered 3 times in 9 game ticks or something, so we need a boat here to make the sand fall down quicker so there's less reset. So what boat is this one's called small boat, and it's the only one I know how to make. So yeah, place this sort of setup, and then you place a boat, and then remember to push the boat in close to the minecart, so when the minecart goes it picks up the boat, and we can break all this, finish the 0 tick repeater. Now the sand falls quickly, which is easy to break, so that's good. Oh, I forgot the pot. I don't do much with entities, so I'm not very good at doing them. Right, so you don't have to break all that, but you can. So if I then make this thing, this is just like a clock. So this lets us clock it really quickly, because you see the sand, if it was falling normally, it would break. So if I break the boat, it starts to fall, and then it's, yeah, not good. So that's what boat is, and we have to squeeze it in here, like that. Yeah. So we're going to shove it up against this block so it does both sand at the same time. And same setup. put a pot on here. The pot is so it doesn't go too far. And then we can break all this stuff. I'm also going to quickly make a copy, just in case I break it, which will probably happen. So yeah, that means the sand falls down very quickly. And that's meant to be a slab, so 0 tick that in. Just because we need a dust on it and I don't want that to power the rail, which is also why this is glass. Right, anyway, so this 0 tick repeater powers this one with the note block, like that, and then this has to return. So push in a block, and then we have these two updaters. So this needs to be powered after 2 bed or something. I don't know. Maybe it's 3. Anyway, the point is, this one repeater isn't enough. We can't just do that. I mean, we can, but we can't just do that. So we need to have this on for longer, and then this piston is used to update this after an extra bed. Which is why we need 2 bed here, because to keep this on an extra bed sort of thing. Right, point is, we get that now. So, yeah. So next thing is to do the same on this side, which we do with another target. There are lots of target blocks in this build, and we do the same thing, except this time we don't need the boat, because this only needs to power once, because the retraction of this is done by a pseudo. Right, anyway, point is, we do the same thing with the updated piston. Sadly this time it is just an updated piston. This one's cool because it's also used in the 0 tick repeater. And then we do I think the updaters are a bit like that. Yeah. Actually, this is used for something else, but anyway. So now I'll 0 tick this. And also remember to add this hopper, which is 2 shovels. Bigger, maybe it can be 1 shovel, I don't know, it's just to get enough signal strength. And 0 ticks that. Now we get that. Then we have to 0 tick this line again in the same game tick. Yeah, after a bit more bed, and we use this 0 tick repeater for that. That might have to be a slab. Just links back up to there. I don't know why that is a target block. Doesn't need to be. So yeah, let me check. Okay, that needs to be a slab. Oh yeah, because we can't let this 0 tick repeater travel around and power this dust, because then it'll power that. Right, and then we need a few more bed here, which we do with a bulb. I mean, it can be a note block, but note blocks are noisy. And a piston. It makes me think that has to be the slab. Yeah. Right then, so now when I do this, the extender extends. And then we retract those with pseudo 0 ticks, and then we can power this line again with 0 tick. And it does the retraction. Does it properly though, because it's all happening in the same game tick and works. I hope all this storage is locational. I'm stupid. Right, so now we've got all that in place, we can make the thing that 0 ticks this at 3 game ticks after the storage has retracted. Which is why we need this repeater, I think, to add more delay. I'm not really sure. Half of this is just me guessing. Yep. So the way I think we do that is right, so now is a good time to place these two. And I think I'm going to also do this. Yeah. Right, so actually I'm not going to do that yet. So we've got this dust line, which is that, I think. Yeah, so this is this thing gives us a 0 tick. And what we do with that is we have a leaf in front of it, and then a log next to it, I think, and then this redstone block piston. So same as with these, this observer powers at 3 game ticks and then does a 0 tick. So if I do this observer, and then should get, oh yeah, that is not a redstone block, because this gets powered from up there. It gets powered locationally, depending if that updates it or not. So what I do is comparator on subtract mode, and then that this hopper into it. That gives us signal strength. That gives us, I don't like this new F3 screen. That gives us a handful of signal strength, which this retracts, turning that off. So yeah, that's why this doesn't power and break. It just did. And this turns on after 2 game ticks. This does its thing at 3 game ticks. So that's fine. Right, I'm also gonna put that as a tripwire hook, because I like tripwire hooks. So now I slow down the game, and then place that back. And we can see that this goes at 3 game ticks. Does all the stuff. It breaks because, yeah, that happens as well. Yeah, that is going to be very annoying, and I think, yeah, there's a piston there which keeps the observer down and gets spammed as much as I could spam it by these observers. And then also this piston gets powered by this input line, which that's removable there, so that doesn't do stuff on the close, but removing that gets spat out anyway. Right then, so trying to fix all of this. And then the problem why that didn't work is because these pistons at the bottom retracted these two, so they couldn't be used in the double. So we need to keep them on somehow, which is why stick an item in those droppers that face into each other. So on the closing, that comparator turns on with unsignal strength, so it doesn't do this whole line, and then respan these and it switches off at the right time. Somehow, I've kind of forgot how. Right then, and then the other piston, this one gets held on somehow else. I think it's this hopper thing. These two hoppers, hopper timer with couple and a block, go into here, which has the right signal strength to go on and power that block, which keeps that piston on for the right time. So now we've done that, we can test it again, I think. Yeah, also all these powered, but that doesn't happen in the real door. Right, so this comparator is on, this comparator is on. And we can see it does that. And then powers again because of this. Right, next step is to do that piston, which gets spat out fairly quickly. So come down under here and then place this comparator back. Wait, it's facing this way the whole time. So yeah, that just spits that out, whilst this observer can't be detected or something like that. Which just means now on closing this extends and doesn't do anything with that observer. Which is good. That is still on, which gets fixed later. So, what do we build now? I think we do these two retracting, which have to be done by a pseudo zero tick. So they retract with not much bed, and then power that to do the retraction. Well, not a pseudo zero tick, but like a zero tick. This one's a pseudo, that one isn't. So let's do this one first. This one was very annoying. We do that with that. So that, if you don't know what the pseudo zero tick is, basically it's that. That's a one game tick pulse, but if I'm trying to think how. Okay, so this is sort of set up so this thing gets 2 tick pulsed by these observers and that gets powered. So basically that keeps rest and block there for 1 game tick. Except when it first arrives, there's no piston there, and then when this piston arrives, that retracts, and that does a 0 tick without doing a 0 tick sort of thing, which is why it's pseudo. Right, so that means we have to 2 tick this, or it can be 1.5 ticked, then it's just a 0 tick. Yeah, so the way we do this has lost, I don't remember. So yeah, so this needs to retract at 6 game ticks, which I guess that's 1, 2, 3, 4, and then turns off at 6, and that's the 2 ticks before, so that gives the 2 tick. Then this observer powers at the right time to power this block when it's here. Yeah. So that will retract that. I'm not actually going to test it. Yeah. So next thing, we need to power this with a 0 tick or a pseudo. Actually, I don't think it can be a pseudo because it has to power that. Anyway, either way, it isn't a pseudo. It is this 0 tick generator, which is as simple as it looks. It's very nice. Just does that. Because this has less static priority than the observer, I think, which means it powers before this, and then this cuts it. It's basically the same thing as this, except with an observer. It's like the classic 0 tick generator, but with an observer, so it fits in. It also works as a toggle, which is nice. So just stick 2 observers like that. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and this powers on at 6 for 0 tick, which retracts that and powers this 0 tick repeater, which goes through, does the retraction of the double. So yeah, that comparator is on, that comparator is not, and it should be also lagging in a single player world. Oh right, because I've done the TPS down. So it does that. That starts extending, and then that powers on, which retracts those, and then that has started retracting. I think that does. I don't know. Anyway, I don't think. Yeah. Anyway, that retracts, and then all this is broken because this thing gets repowered again. So we add that in to block it. So I'm gonna just spam a bunch of observers because that is basically all this is. Some of these could probably be removed. Anyway, all that just holds that on for a while, which is why this has some reset on the close. So yeah, that just stays on for a while, because this line gets spammed quite a lot. So that just means this doesn't re-extend. I'm over here, aren't I? It just means this doesn't re-extend, which is handy. And yeah, time to reset everything. Oh, it's turned off. Probably because I added this fitting back out somehow, and that made it work. That part of the door I was just spamming stuff until it worked. So I do it again. This is still not on, even though it should be. Then we can see that that will get blocked. This turns on, and then that retracts, and then that turns on again, except this is extended. So yeah, except it's still powered, so that's not great. And oh yeah, that's a very annoying piston. Right then, so let's see if I can fix that piston. I think, yeah. Right, so next thing is to go back to this. Yeah. Or it's probably to fix this, isn't it? So this is kind of a mess of observers. But now we've got this implemented, we can add these back. So basically, these spam this line which subtracts from that comparator to switch it off earlier than it would normally. And that's all that does. And then this observer here spams those droppers to get rid of the item, because if you've got an item in the top dropper, power it from bottom, switches off, because this powers and then this powers after. Which is also why with that the item goes up down so quickly. So that's what that does. And then I'm also going to add that observer and then these two observers. I'm pretty sure. Yeah. So what that does is, if you remember the layout from the start, the floor was there. We do that, and then these retract. That does that. And then we need to retract this down so that this piston can push it over to make not much reset on the post. So triple needs to retract, which you can see in the store. Happens like that. I was retracted it out of sync. Yeah. That's what those observers do, they just spam and it works, which is quite nice. Okay. So, yeah, let's test it again, I guess. So this still hasn't worked, and I don't know why. But, oh well. Yeah, it retracts, and then some retraction business down here. This one didn't work because this needs to be powered again to do that retraction. Yeah. Which it does with the last pulse of the double. Right, so next thing is to zero tick this line after these are retracted to split these up. And the way we do that is with this thing. So I forgot where the updaters go. Go like that. Right, so this is basically the same sort of thing as this zero tick generator. But this one's over here, has more updated. Right, this piston powers by the input line, so on the close this doesn't get retracted, and the open it does get retracted by this observer, pretty sure. So that just zero ticks those. It also retracts these pistons, so because the last pulse which retracts these blocks is done by powering this line. So if we zero tick this, it will split these up like that, which we don't want, so we have to retract these down. Which is very annoying, but yeah. Right, and then following from this, we need to zero tick this line instantly, which is the pulse I was just talking about, which now target blocks here get pushed in, which will power these pistons. Yeah. So the way we do that is with this pushes a block over, which is powered by that repeater, which has updaters like that. I think it's facing up, so I guess it doesn't block with that. So yeah, so this is like does that, and then we have a piston here which tracks this and then pushes it down. Bit of a strange, but that's the only way to fit in a repeater like this, I guess. So that's why we need these pistons. Okay. Yeah, this is a rail, it turns out. So yeah, and this needs 2 updaters. Same reason this needs 2, I think. Yeah. Okay. So I guess we don't test it yet because we have to push these target blocks in. So that bus can power those, and the way this one works is this observer as well as nothing else, I guess. Yeah, and then this side is also just this observer. I remember there being a lot more wiring for that. Right, so yeah. So it should work now. This retracts and then that powers it, which retracts it down. And yeah. Let's see how it goes. Probably break or something, but oh well. Yep. Oh well, we can still reach this. That extends as well as that one. And we do the traction like that. And then everything breaks. I think probably because I forgot to do the item shuffling there. I've also remembered we need this downwards piston to update this every time this gets powered, so it's not locational. What's wrong about that? So that this powers when this bit does its thing, so that observer power is retracting that. So that's what that piston there is for. Okay, so we then have to retract that over. This gets pushed down by this dust. Right, so after we do this extension, we have to retract these again, which means powering that again. Except now it's less precise pulses, and I instead use that, I think. Yeah, so that just retracts those decently quickly, which is all we want. Yeah, so now that's retracted. Those have... I can't remember if those extend from that pulse or not. They might not, because we have to do more with them. This also is in the wrong state, and so is that, which is good. Yeah. Don't know why that is. I think because this needs to be powered to go through all here. Power this wrap again, which will update that observer, as well as this one through here. So let's do this again, and remember, put an item in there. Yeah. Okay. Also, this rail might update that. I'm not really sure what updates that. So let's see what happens. So it does that, which is nice. And that happens. Then we should see those power again, which happens, which does that, and that. And then also, these are doing their attraction stuff, and it all breaks again. Gosh, this still has a lot of effort. Oh, and those are the extended, which is strange. I didn't think that happened, but I guess it does. Those haven't fixed themselves, so that's bad. Because it should have. Oh no, it's just because it was clocked, isn't it? That's probably why. Right, so how to stop that is a good question. And also how to make that start working. Another good question. Right, I think sticking this observer will fix this, because this dust here turns on, which powers that, which would move an item down right in a minute. Also buds this dropper here, which then gets updated later by that observer, which pushes the item up. Then we also have this thing. I don't know how to place it in there, so we'll just push it up. Build that sort of thing. And this needs to get reset. Right then, so yeah, I don't know why this spat out again. That's a bit scary. Maybe it's location. No, but not location. It shouldn't be. Oh well. We will find out, I guess, later. Yeah. Okay, so next thing is to do the reset, which is very annoying and takes a lot more effort than it might seem. What we have to do is power these, which I'm pretty sure we can just stick a 2 to there. Might be wrong about that. I'm not wrong about that. So this is why we have these updaters here and not just a note block, because this gets 2 ticked and we don't want that re-extending. Yeah, the map pushes those over, and then we power this observer, which powers the floor, to do this pushing over, and then this gets re-extended, and we power this line again, which is why these observers here have to be put in to fix that. And then I'm also going to check that either that there, that piston just didn't do anything, and yeah, that's all that happens around here. Yeah. Right, then we place this note block, which does that. This is where we get our string or a block or carpet. String I use because you can't see it very well, but now I'm using this new texture pack and you can see it very clearly, so maybe it's not the best option. So that will retract that, which is what that is for. And yeah, that also right, my mum came in. We then detect this piston, which gives us a double pulse, which gets redirected by that, or there is a repeater for some reason to redirect it however you like. That double pulse is that, which, if we look over here, pushes that over and gets updated by this one powering, which happens like that. So yeah. So this gets powered, pushed over by this somehow, and then we need to power this line at the right time, which turns out not to be that hard. We just have an observer there, a 2-tick, I think. Yep, and then an upwards observer. We place that rail, we place all that. That's why we have a slab here, so the signal can't go down it. Yeah, so that just powers that at the right time. And I think that might be it. It also might not be, so yeah. Guess there's only one way to find out. I'm going to do that manually, because yeah, if that breaks, it'd be annoying. That does that. That gets ready to power. Those retract, and these all go over like that, and that line powers, which breaks everything. Lovely. That is like that. So yeah, this extended because that blocked it, and that's why this didn't extend as well. Right, and now I'm going to do a test with that being like that, which shouldn't break it, hopefully. Except it does. This is fun, isn't it? I guess. So it just cut off because my computer crashed then. Anyway, what I did was I fixed it. Works now. Hope the problem wasn't locationality. Anyway, what I did was I made that 2-tick repeater, and then I changed this observer to a repeater, and it's fixed. I hope that's a proper fix and not just another locational fix or something. But yeah, and that works. Guess I can fill in the floor. Prove it works with the floor. Yeah. Well, considering I built the door like 3 months ago, well, it feels like 3 months ago, it was probably like a week ago, and yeah, I can't really remember how it goes, and it broke. This tutorial hasn't gone too badly. So yeah, goodbye, and see you next video, I guess. There might be more coming out. I'm on holiday for a week or two now. Yeah. Shall we see if this button still works? What if it does? What happens if I do it? Whoa. And it still works. Cool. Can I spam it? No, I guess not. Let me see what happens if I spam the door. That happens. Very scientific. Goodbye.